Is the Sony A7C still relevant in 2022? Of course it is. I think a better question is, can you pull off decent results having an A7C paired with a kit lens? Let's find out.
They don't think we can keep making hits about cameras. But I'm the cameraman. But I'm the cameraman. Stay creamy. Yeah, started on a 50 mil lens.
If you haven't noticed by now, yes, I'm pretty passionate about the Sony A7C, but not in a good way, okay? I'm just gonna let you know right now, the only reason I have the FX3 is because of the A7C. If the A7C would have checked all the blocks for me, I wouldn't be filming on this right now. I'd be filming on my A7C doing my talking head. But there were some shortcomings with the A7C when I purchased it that I just didn't want to deal with. You know, could I have lived with them? Sure, but I just didn't want to deal with them. So that's why I ended up defaulting to getting the Sony FX3. I could say I didn't even want the FX3. I wanted the A7S III, but God, with people buying 3 and 4 of them at a time, they were never available. So I got stuck with the FX3, which I'm fine with now. I'm glad I went with this camera. Okay, I kind of got off script. Let me get this going. All right, so we're going to talk about the Sony A7C. Okay, it's a small, compact, full-frame camera that is in the Sony lineup. It's an entry-level camera. It has a 24.2 megapixel sensor, and it's kind of a hybrid shooter. You know, it doesn't really focus on doing anything outstanding. It does everything pretty much okay, you know, which is good. I personally bought the Sony A7C as a replacement or an upgrade for my Sony A6100, which meant I wouldn't have a problem with grainy footage and trying to edit in post-production. Okay, I know I went on a tangent earlier, but yes, Sony has suspended production of the Sony A7C. So with that being said, you know, don't know when it's coming back right now. There does seem like there's a good amount still left on the market. The only problem that I'm seeing now is that just like with anything, whether it's the ZV-E10 or it's the Sony A7C, once something goes out of production or it's suspended or canceled, then there go the price hikes. So yes, I've already noticed price hikes with the Sony A7C. I've seen it anywhere on the secondary market for something that you would bid on starting at $1,400 and something that you could flat out buy at about $2,000 to about $2,200 without a kit lens. That happens with anything. Once they're either done producing it or it's either canceled or suspended, then here come the price hikes. Okay, the first pro let's talk about is compact size. As you can see, the Sony A7C is not that big of a camera. Even when you compare it up against APS-C cameras in the Sony lineup, it's hard to tell which camera is which. If this camera was all black and the other one was from a distance, you really can't tell them apart. Next, lightweight. Again, it doesn't weigh that much. It weighs about as much as my 6100 would, just minus the battery. And obviously, what would be another deciding factor would be whatever type of lens you would put on the camera, but that's even the same thing with the APS-C camera. Even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it's a pro, but it is. Having that in-body image stabilization helps out tremendously, especially if you can pair it the right way with the right lens, especially one that has optical steady shot in it, then it does make the world of difference. Good in low light. Yes, this camera is really good in low light, but a lot of that has to do with the lens that you pair this camera with versus anything else. It is a full frame sensor camera, so obviously it should be good in low light. It records gyro data. I personally think the Sony Catalyst Browse was meant for the Sony A7C. They should have just called it the A7C edition because, man, that I think when they made Catalyst Browse, they had the Sony A7C in mind. I personally think you need that Catalyst Browse. You need this camera to record gyro data, definitely, because this IBIS is like total garbage. So you do need to have that as some way of trying to combat some of the jitters. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the cons. Now, all the cons with the Sony A7C, I think it's going to be subjective. It's going to be depending on the user themselves. With me, I had only 2 cons with the Sony A7C, and those 2 cons is the reason why I purchased the Sony FX3. First con being the IBIS. The IBIS sucks in this camera. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's horrible. It doesn't matter what lens you got on there. Shaky footage looks like crap. Okay, the second one was there's no 4K 60. Now, I know that's petty. You know, some people be like, what? You didn't like the A7C because there was no 4K 60? Okay, I know this camera was not going to come with 4K 60. All right, it's not like something that I was hoping that was going to be in this camera. I knew it wasn't going to be in there. But I do like shooting at 60 frames per second to be able to use slow motion. I don't always like upscaling it. I don't like throwing 1080 into a 4K timeline and trying to upscale it and all that. I just don't. I don't like switching back and forth. If I'm shooting in 4K 30, then I have to go ahead and go into my menu and I have to switch to 1080 60 to take something in slow motion. Also, too, with me and my workflow, that means a lot more of my shots have to be deliberate. I have to know when I'm going to shoot slow motion. It's not something I could do on the fly. Now, I know with me saying that, that also tells something about me too. When I do a lot of my shooting with the FX3, a lot of time it's stuck in 4K 60, especially when it's daily vlogs, because I don't know what I'm going to slow down for B-roll. I don't know about the transitions and all that when I'm shooting. My shots aren't really deliberately planned, and I didn't like doing that. So that's pretty much it for pros and cons. So we're going to go ahead and take this camera out into the field and do the field test, and then we'll meet back in the lab. So I'm out here today doing a field test. The equipment I'm using is a Sony A7C with Sony kit lens attached to it, the 28-70 3.5 to 5.6 variable aperture. And I got the Joby Gorilla Pod old school wireless Go mic. Just gonna see how the Sony A7C performs with running it through tests with just a kit lens, just to see if this is an option for someone who's just getting started and using the kit lens that came with the camera itself. Because it's so sunny today, I do have my shutter cranked all the way up to I think 1/500, which I never use my shutter that high, but have to do some compensations for all this sun or my background is going to be all blown out. Probably already is, but still. I do believe that the IBIS is better suited for someone that's using their A7C for photography. It works well for that, or if you're static and trying to get some video shots, the IBIS works just fine. There go those freaking geese again. Also too, this kind of answers another question. Can you vlog with the 28-70 kit lens? I think you can. Yes, it's a little too close on my face. Definitely closer than what I like, but it's still doable. So I think it's time for that part in the segment when we talk about who this camera's for. This camera's for someone who appreciates the compact size and how light it is. I think it's for someone also who is ready to do the upgrade and go to a full frame camera. So let's talk about who this camera isn't for. I say this much, if you want to go into the full frame lineup of cameras, you have to be prepared for kind of what it takes to maintain these cameras. Now, I'm not talking about the camera body or the mechanics of the camera itself. When I mean maintain, I mean like to get those really nice videos or those good photos. Sometimes, these kit lenses don't pull it off all the way. So to buy those lenses that you need to get those pictures or videos that you dream of, those lenses are kind of pricey. So you almost have to be willing to commit not just to the camera body itself, but you have to be ready to commit to the total package. And believe me, full frame lenses are nothing like buying APS-C lenses. Man, it's a big world apart. So let's go ahead and do the stabilization test. Right now I'm using the optical steady shot that's in the kit lens along with the IBIS inside the body of the camera. So how does that look for stabilization? I'm making sure now, right now I'm on the sidewalk, so I don't have to really worry about uneven terrain. But this is what you get straight out of the kit lens and the IBIS that's in the camera. Doesn't look bad, but I'm willing to bet it's probably jittery as I don't know what, man. I personally don't trust my A7C when it comes to stabilization, but it'll be interesting to see what this comes out like this. This is optical steady shot being used inside the lens with no IBIS on. Just like with all field tests, I'm gonna go ahead and test internal and external audio. Right now I'm using the external Rode Wireless Go for the audio. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch from this and use the internal audio. So this is with the internal audio. I'm in the same spot. I want to try to pick up all the same noises in the background. So how do you think that sound? Got this waterfall that's going on behind me in this pond. And I don't know if that sounds any different or if the audio is usable like this or not. So this is at 28 millimeters. This is at 35. This is at 50. And this is at 70. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a test. I'm gonna again try the fake S Cinetone and see what that picture profile looks like on the Sony A7C. And this is with the fake S Cinetone. For some reason, well, I kind of know why today. I probably should change my shutter from 1/500 because that's making it a lot darker than probably what it should be. But man, the sun is so bright today. Hopefully this is coming out good, but this is fake S Cinetone picture profile. I think that's another reason why I have a problem with picture profiles, man. If you're wearing sunglasses, it makes it so hard to see your display screen. And see, this is something else that you can see as a benefit of a full frame camera. Like right now, shooting with this kit lens, I still have some subject separation there. A little bit of a blurry background. You know, that's the thing that I like about full frame cameras, because even with a kit lens, a lens that cost me about $110, I can still get somewhat of a decent picture as long as I'm shooting in the right conditions. Okay, I like to be honest with y'all in everything I do with camera gear. So let's talk about, do I see myself using the A7C and this kit lens as my primary camera? Because of my situation, probably not. You know, I really love my FX3 paired with my 24 millimeter f1.4 G Master. That's like my go-to right now. I'll tell you another reason why I don't really find myself in a situation where I would be using the kit lens is because I also have the Sigma 28-70 constant aperture f2.8 lens. So having that lens would make no reason for me to want to use this kit lens. Just kind of showing you that if you bought the A7C, probably it's going to come with the kit lens. I always hear a lot of people, a lot of vloggers, YouTubers saying the kit lens is trash. Man, I mean, quality is always subjective. You know, if you're just starting out on a small budget, you know, you work with what you have. A lot of times when people get these kit lenses in these bundle packages for a camera like the A7C, the first thing out their mouth is they want to ditch the kit lens, is because of what they heard some YouTubers say. Man, I'm like, you know, with a lot of YouTube videos I see, everybody is trying to showcase the best of the best. And I'm like, the best of the best may not always be reality for everybody. You know, no one wants to focus on lenses like this paired with the A7C. You know, I like to keep it real. I like to give you real scenarios. And I know it may sound kind of hypocritical because, yeah, I don't use this kit lens all the time, but I still thought it, you know, had some type of value to it. I purchased it. I didn't get it in a bundle package. You know, I prefer it over that 28-60 that most of the A7Cs are coming with nowadays, that new kit lens. I think that's straight trash, but it's not really from a picture quality standpoint. It's more from, I don't like the build quality of it. So, I mean, my thing when it comes to camera gear, you gotta make your purchases based off of what works for you, what helps facilitate your workflow, and what's cost efficient for your pockets. I think I'm ready to go back home, get something to eat, finish this video up. Okay, I'm back. So, just got back from the field test. As you can see, those are pretty much the results with the Sony A7C. You got a chance to see it and some of its functionalities. I didn't go over everything with the camera. This video would be almost a 40-minute video if I had to do that. So try to keep it simple. Just showed you some of the basic uses for it. And to answer the question, is it still relevant? That was never an issue. Of course, it's still relevant. But can you get good video results from it? Sure you can. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and hook this up and try to do like a talking head video with the kit lens. It's going to take me a second because I have to readjust some things. I'm not going to hook it up all the way with the monitor. I'm just going to do a real quick hookup and adjust some settings, and let's see what type of results we get. 1, 2, 3. So this is me right now using the Sony A7C with the kit lens. So you can see the type of results you get from this if you wanted to use it for a talking head video. Right now the settings aren't too crazy. My ISO is around 250, which isn't bad. I didn't have to change none of the lighting, or I choose not to, but I don't think it's going to come out too bad. So would this be doable for a person to do a talking head video? I think so. So that's pretty much it. If you like this content and you feel it was informative, please hit the like button. If you want to see more content just like this, make sure you subscribe. So that'll be it till next time. Talk to you later.